There is definitely a pandemic of unoptimized games coming to PC in recent memory, and it's very much depressing me. And thank you for joining me for the third episode of my podcast. I'm actually quite enjoying doing these, so I'll try and get at least one a week done to you if I can. But obviously with children, a full-time job, and being in the band and whatnot and stuff, we'll see how it goes. But I am enjoying this. This is a lot easier for me to do, obviously, because it requires a lot less editing for the most part. I've only got to put a few things up over here, but I'm enjoying this. But I wanted to talk about unoptimized games very specifically in this video because it is just killing me on the inside. The more recent one being Monster Hunter Wilds, but I'll get to that one. What really depresses me is that I think Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are phenomenal. Rebirth was my game of the year last year in 2024. How that did not win game of the year is beyond me. I don't know how Astro won over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was just jam-packed full of awesome cutscenes, story, music. They took everything that, obviously for the section of the game they were covering, they took it all from the original Final Fantasy VII and just brought it all to life in modern day. Yes, there was a lot of repetitive open world Ubisoft kind of stuff done from open area to open area, but that was optional. You don't need to do it. And yes, the game has loads of mini games, but so did the original game. It had mini games, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth implemented it so that some of them were mandatory, but they were really cool, and it broke up the gameplay, and people were complaining about it. But it's more content, it's more gaming stuff. For the most part, it's completely optional, and you don't have to do it. And if you do have to do it once, then it's not the end of the world. But that's a tangent. I'm going off on a tangent here, but that's not the point. But the PC releases of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, unfortunately, are not very well optimized at all. But that seems to be a common element currently that Square-Enix have, alongside of Capcom, with PC releases, because Square-Enix, obviously it's a company, they're just one of those companies, but I love the Final Fantasy series. I have been a fan ever since '97 when I discovered the original Final Fantasy VII, and I have played every Final Fantasy since. And it also extends to Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI is another fantastic Final Fantasy. It's really cool. They tried to do something a little different. It's a little more Devil May Cry, but I really liked it. And for me personally, it's 100% a Final Fantasy, and it fits in with the whole thing. But for some reason, people disliked it. But what I do dislike is the fact the port to PC is horrific. It's absolutely dreadful. No matter what gaming settings you set it to, the frame rates are all over the shop and they're not steady. And that disgusts me. Now, Sony is guilty of that as well. Like when The Last of Us Part 1 originally came to PC, it was horrific. Now it's pretty good. It's not too bad. Last of Us Part 2, the remastered versions just dropped on PC this week as well, and is really, really cool. It's done. It's a very, very damn good port, and I've been really enjoying it. I did play it on PS5 and on PS4, and I do really like the game. And the PC port, thankfully, is fantastic. But for Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and 16, they are very high-profile games, and the fact that Square Enix really just didn't bother to optimize them as well as they could have is just really depressing. But moving on to Capcom. The Resident Evil remakes are some of the best remakes there's ever been, and some of the best horror games. And I think there's a remake of Resident Evil 1 coming out, and a remake of 5, I believe. But I don't know why they're doing that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the original remake of the GameCube game. It's still fantastic to this day and well worth checking out. But with Final Fantasy. But with Resident Evil 4, for example, the remake, I hated the original Resident Evil 4, but the remake was really damn good. But I did notice again its optimization was a little off. But it was only a little off. But then we get on to Dragon's Dogma 2, and Dragon's Dogma 2, it was obviously it was incredibly well glazed. There were so many YouTubers claiming that it changed their life and changed their perspective on RPGs, and in my personal opinion, a lot of them were just talking straight out of their ass, because it's an okay game. It's got a lot of things going against it for the player itself. The fact that you can't save anywhere or you can't fast travel really did my knob in, and I mean, there was a fast travel system of sorts, but it's a game that unfortunately I didn't finish. I got close to the end, but I was fighting this griffin, which had about 47 life bars, and it took me like 15 to 20 minutes to get down one of its life bars. And although, yes, I know people say you need to level up and get better gear and all this kind of bollocks, I don't want to do that. I don't want to fight that kind of crap. and the optimization was absolutely killing me. And in order for me to get the game to run at a decent frame rate, I had to put the resolution down so much that the game, well, it's not the way that I know, because I have above its recommended specs to play the game, and when you have that, it should run. It's not a me problem, it's a developer problem, and they need to sort it out 100%. Dragon's Dogma 1 works perfectly fine on PC, and I will probably go back to Dragon's Dogma 2 one day to try and finish it just to tick it off the list, but it was so poorly optimized at launch. I was really confused on why so many people, especially YouTubers online, were giving it such high praise even when they're playing it on PC, when I know they must have encountered technical difficulties. Not all of them had smooth sailing, not a chance. And then that brings me to Monster Hunter Wilds, which was obviously Capcom's most recent outing, and a game I was really looking forward to. I played through the story. I thought the story was meh. It didn't take very long whatsoever. It was quite short. It was the shortest Monster Hunter I've played, and the optimization is disgustingly dreadful. And I don't know what went wrong. I cannot play the game at anything above a solid 40 frames, and it goes down into the 30s all the time. That should not be the case. I even put it down to 720p resolution and the graphics to low, and it still could not hit a solid 60 frames per second. That's piss poor, and it's something that needs to be sorted, because it made me put the game down because I can't enjoy it. If I could just, like, don't get me wrong, I know that I've got an RTX 3060 12GB card. I know that's knocking on the end of me needing to upgrade, and I will. Next year, I'm going to move up to the 4000 series and get like a 4090 or something. But for the time being, I can run pretty much everything I can get my hands on at everything on high or highest, with turning reflections down. No, I don't bother with ray tracing anyway, even though I have a ray tracing card, and I just turn a couple of the settings down, but the games still look fantastic, and they still play at 90 frames per second. It just like with The Last of Us Part 2 and God of War Ragnarok on PC, more recently I've been playing, they look fantastic. I got nearly everything whacked up, and I'm getting 90 frames per second. That should be the case for all modern released games. Should be able to run them. People should be able to run their games. And unfortunately, there's a massive people out there that are claiming that with Monster Hunter Wilds that you just need to upgrade your rig. You've obviously got too shit a rig. That's not cool. That's just because somebody's having technical difficulties on their end from the game itself is not always their problem. We shouldn't have to fork out thousands of pounds every single year because the developers can't be asked to optimize their game correctly. It needs to be sorted out, but Capcom so far have stuck their head in the sand. I don't know if there's been any mention of optimization patches, but there has been none, and it's been weeks since release. And it's just this, all they care about is pushing this new free title update, which I'll be honest doesn't impress me one bit, not at all. If you want to impress me, do what CD Projekt Red did with The Witcher 3. Release the game and give 14 free DLC packs away, 2 a week, including cosmetics, quests, and all the other type of stuff. But with the new free update that's coming out for Monster Hunter, it's monsters we've already had previously and some extra odd goodies. So, I mean, yay. I'm a massive Monster Hunter fan, and it really depresses me, but I've put Monster Hunter Wilds down for the time being. I will pick it back up again in the future, especially when I get my new rig. If not, if they patch it between then, I'll pick it up before then. But I cannot condone or in any way praise the game other than the fact that the combat and the gameplay itself is fantastic. It feels a lot easier than other Monster Hunters. I know G rank or the master ranks haven't been released yet, but even still, it still feels like you can spank the monsters pretty quick. I could do most of it by myself, and it does feel very speedy and more streamlined. But not for the bad part. I did have a really good time with the gameplay itself. It's just the optimization just killed any more hype I had for said game. And the final game I want to talk about, which really depressed me because I actually really enjoyed it, was the Silent Hill 2 remake from Konami. Silent Hill 2 is really good. I remember playing it back in the day and had a lot of fun with it. But Silent Hill 2 remake, its optimization was dreadful. It's a little better now. It's had a few patches, but it's still dodgy. You get to the apartment building and the frame rates take a nosedive off of a very, very high cliff. It's very depressing, and it's such a shame because, I mean, to be honest, there's two things that let Silent Hill 2 down, and that's the optimization of the game and the fact that the enemies are pretty samey. The enemies aren't too diverse in the way they look or act, which is, I don't know, you can take that however you want, but with Silent Hill 2 Remake, if the optimization had been on point, I would have enjoyed it. Would have been a 10 out of 10 gaming experience, but because of the optimization being so poor on it, it took it down for me. So when I reviewed it and whatnot, it didn't get as high a score or higher rating because of its optimization. And I do want to be honest all the time. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm not a gaming journalist. I'm not an expert in any way. I have no diplomas on game development or video games or game history. None of that. Sorry about that little cut. I accidentally hit my spacebar, which stopped OBS from recording the video. I got too excited and too choppy with the hands. So, so sorry about that. But optimization needs to be on point, and at least it needs to be better than it is, especially for these AAA releases, because it puts a lot of people off, and games will lose. They will lose money. They will make money, but they will also lose money. Also, with the more recent Rise of the Ronin game that was released, apparently its optimization on that game is horrific. I have not played it, which is why I haven't really included it in this video, so I can't comment. I can say that when I did play it on PlayStation 5, I had a great time with the game, but even in performance mode, there were some issues with the frame rates, which obviously do need to be sorted for consoles. That should not happen. And the fact that there are quality and performance modes in modern consoles is stupid. Everything should be great and look good and be high resolution, and that's the way it should. That's the way Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 was sold to us. That's also the way PlayStation 4 and Xbox One was sold to us, was higher frame rates, better graphics, and then it turned out that they couldn't quite do that, so then they split them, which is just silly. But please let me know down below what you think of the whole optimization situation. Have you had any bad experiences with optimization in games? And as always, thank you very much for watching this podcast, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.